Have you ever stopped to really think about what you think you know about DNA? You know, that double helix, the blueprint for life. Well, get ready for a deep dive today because we're going to explore stuff that suggests is way more than just a static blueprint. We're talking ancient mysteries, maybe even consciousness itself, and some pretty cutting edge ideas that really push the boundaries. So, our mission today is to unpack this really fascinating stack of sources. They look into DNA's, well, surprising abilities and its potential role in our evolution, maybe even our consciousness. We've got historical studies, some deep science research, and even some really personal accounts, quite courageous ones, actually.
Yeah, prepare for something pretty paradigm shifting, I think. We're going to try and connect some dots that might seem, totally separate at first. From ancient pharaohs to, well, almost quantum ideas about our genetic code. It all seems to point towards DNA being much more dynamic, responsive, and frankly, pretty extraordinary.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Where do we start? Maybe with that idea of intelligent design or hybrid origins. You mentioned a historical figure.
Right, Pharaoh Akhenaten. From the 14th century BC, there was this incredible 7-year study done on him, and they found some, well, significant anomalies in a tiny fragment of his desiccated brain tissue.
Anomalies? Like what?
Well, the DNA analysis hinted at a higher cranial capacity than you'd expect for his time, which suggests, the need for a larger cortex, and specifically a gene linked to cortex growth, sources call it CP5, showed a really noticeable anomaly.
An anomaly in the gene itself, or how it worked.
It suggests maybe a unique signature, or perhaps unusually high activity, like accelerated brain development. And there's more, his actual bone structure is found to be unusually dense and just fundamentally different from a, let's say, normal mummy of a similar age.
Wow. So, denser bones, bigger brain capacity indicated. What are the implications then for human origins? Are these sources suggesting something beyond standard evolution, like intervention or a different lineage altogether? What could these really startling differences be telling us about where we came from?
It definitely makes you wonder. And if Akhenaten's DNA hints at something unusual in the past, it sort of begs the question, just how adaptable or maybe even programmable is our DNA now?
Exactly. And that leads us right into the next big idea from these sources. DNA as something dynamic, something potentially programmable.
Programmable? How so?
Well, this comes from Russian scientists. Their findings suggest DNA can actually be influenced, maybe even reprogrammed, just by using specific words and frequencies.
Words and frequencies, like sound or language.
Pretty much. The theory is that DNA isn't just building our bodies, it's also communicating. It follows rules, sort of like a language. But you need the right frequency to reprogram it.
So you wouldn't need to physically cut and paste genes. That's the really profound implication in their work, yes. Theoretically, the right human language frequency might be enough to correct faulty genes. They propose that living chromosomes function almost like a holographic computer.
A holographic computer. Inside us.
That's the concept, like a biological receiver and transmitter.
Yeah.
They theorize it uses some kind of internal energy. They actually call it endogenous DNA laser radiation.
Laser radiation.
From DNA. That's the term they use,
Yeah.
to subtly adjust genetic information. And get this, they suggest this energy creates tiny disturbances in the vacuum of space itself. Little ripples that could form tunnel connections.
Tunnel connections to where...
To other areas of the universe,
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah.
It's a wild idea.
That is, wow. DNA as a language, responsive to words, frequencies. It really does make you think about what, spiritual traditions have said for ages, that our bodies are programmable by language, by thought. And these sources seem to be offering a potential scientific, framework for it. It kind of shines a light on why things like affirmations or even hypnosis can have such real physical effects, and why words, both positive and negative, can impact us so deeply.
Right. And if you connect that to other scientific work, like Dr. Bruce Lipton's, he really emphasizes how our experiences, our attitude, can change DNA expression.
Expression, not the code itself.
Exactly. That's epigenetic control. Environmental information changes how genes are read out without altering the underlying sequence. And what's amazing, according to this work, is that just one gene can apparently produce something like 30,000 different variations in its expression.
30,000 from one gene.
Depending on belief and reality, yeah. That's the claim.
That's incredible. And it's not just humans, right? There was that story.
Ah, the plant anecdote.
Yes. About the guy who found the secret to better plant breeding was just love.
That's the one. He wanted to create a spineless cactus. So he reportedly told the plants, "You don't need your thorns, I'll protect you."
And it worked.
Over time, a thornless variety emerged, according to the story.
It's such a striking example, isn't it? The potential power of words, intention, frequency, maybe even across species. Okay, so if DNA is programmable, what else? You mentioned something even more profound.
Well, this is where it gets really mind-bending, according to these sources. They propose DNA might have a multidimensional aspect.
Multidimensional DNA, what does that even mean?
It means potentially producing what they term magnetized wormholes.
Wormholes, like in sci-fi.
Sort of, but microscopic. Biological versions of those theoretical Einstein-Rosen bridges.
Shortcuts through space-time.
That's the idea. These tiny wormholes could, theoretically, transmit information from outside our usual dimensions directly into our consciousness.
So like a biological internet?
Exactly, or that holographic computer idea again. The living chromosomes supposedly act like this computer, using that same endogenous DNA laser radiation we mentioned
Wait, the internal energy.
to modulate frequencies, influence the genetic code, but also by causing these subtle disturbances in the vacuum to open these tunnel connections.
Connections between different parts of the universe, transmitting information.
That's the hypothesis presented in these sources, yes. Information coming from beyond space and time as we know it.
Okay, hold on. If that's even remotely possible, what does that mean for us? For everyday experience?
Well, the sources suggest this could be a potential explanation for a lot of phenomena we don't fully understand.
Like what? Psychic stuff?
Things like precognitive insights, yeah, strong intuition, clairvoyance, telepathy, even maybe spontaneous healing, self-healing, or remote healing.
Remote influencing, affecting things at a distance.
That's suggested too, and even connections to broader patterns like potentially weather.
Wow, that's a huge list.
It is. It covers a lot of ground, often dismissed as purely anecdotal or paranormal.
And the sources say anyone can do this. It's not just for special people.
They're quite clear on that point, yes. They state, essentially, we can all do it, every single one of us. It's potentially an inherent human capability linked to our DNA.
Okay. This is a lot to take in. Ancient anomalies, programmable genes, a multidimensional internet in our cells. How does this all tie together? You mentioned a personal account.
Yes, the story of a very courageous lady. Her experiences seem to weave many of these threads together in a modern context.
Okay. Tell us about her. What's her background?
She has strong scientific credentials, a PhD in molecular toxicology, a bachelor's in biochemistry and molecular biology.
So a scientist.
Yes, and she's only coming forward publicly now. She explains it's really difficult to talk about these things openly, especially where she is in Scandinavia. She even mentioned a case reportedly of a young man being taken to a psychiatric unit just for speaking what she calls star languages.
Oh, wow. So it takes courage.
Definitely. She says she felt compelled to speak out after a specific personal experience, a kind of sign.
What insights does she offer from her scientific perspective?
She believes genes hold information about their origin on, like, another level, a hidden key. And this key, she theorizes, can be activated. Activated by, well, she uses the term programmers, when they sense a person is ready for contact.
Programmers. Ready for contact. Contact with what?
Non-human intelligences. She says these activated individuals then spread a signal, helping to wake up others. And she has a feeling that they are speeding it up now.
They, meaning these intelligences?
Presumably. She speaks of direct encounters with specific types, like beings she describes as coneheads and mantid types.
And she sees them
As friends, actually. She feels it's important for her to stay alive, develop her abilities, because she senses huge changes are coming for humanity.
You mentioned a sign that made her come forward.
Yes, something quite physical and dramatic. She experienced a severe dislocation of her atlas vertebra, the top one in the neck. And then she reports it spontaneously rotated back into the correct position. Suddenly, she could swallow without pain, which she hadn't been able to do. That was her signal.
That's intense. And she has other unusual experiences too, right?
Oh yes, quite a range, according to the accounts. Near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, recall of past lives, one in Paris, apparently confirmed by details in a specific book, another in Karnak, Egypt, confirmed by archaeologists she spoke with later.
Confirmation. That's interesting.
She also reports shamanic-type experiences, seeing energy forms, old men figures traveling through tunnels, experiences with healing, both as a healer and being healed, even moving objects with her mind as a child, like a whole SETI apparently, and seeing auras later as a doctoral student without knowing what they were.
With all that going on, did she ever, seek conventional help?
She did. She actually sought psychiatric evaluation.
Mm.
She was deemed absolutely normal.
Absolutely normal, despite all those experiences.
Okay, which leads to her concept of the new human or quantum litter people.
Quantum letter people, what's that about?
She sees them as an evolving species, and she strongly believes that conditions like ADD, ADHD, Asperger's, some forms of autism, they might not be disorders or break in genes at all.
But what then?
Indications of new multidimensional skills emerging. She says these individuals naturally experience things outside the box, and she actually thinks it's dysfunctional not to, in a way.
So it's an evolution.
She views it as a combination. Genetically improved bodies, yes, but also souls from different parts of the universe incarnating here, different soul frequencies activating the DNA in new ways.
And the letter people aspect, like ADD, ADHD.
She explains that while these individuals might show, say, impaired communication between the brain hemispheres on standard tests, this could actually free up more brain capacity for other things, like solving complex problems, seeing reality in a more multidimensional way, having higher sensitivities. It's a different way of processing the world. And she notes other scientists are starting to explore similar ideas too.
So a potential evolutionary step, interpreted completely differently. We've really covered a huge amount today. From Akhenaten's strange DNA to our genes being potentially programmable by language and frequency. Then this idea of a multidimensional DNA internet. And finally, this concept of the new human emerging, maybe linked to conditions we usually see as problems.
Yeah, the implications are just profound. It challenges our basic understanding of consciousness, certainly healing, human potential, maybe our whole place in the cosmos. It connects the distant past with the future that might be unfolding right now.
They really make you think. So maybe something for you, listener, to ponder as you go about your day. Just consider how deeply our thoughts, our beliefs, our intentions might actually be shaping not just our reality, but maybe even our very genetic expression. And if that's true, what incredible possibilities does that open up for all of us?